Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hi, welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Adele, with us right here from the San Francisco Bay Area. It's more of the little more South Bay, the real main Silicon Valley. So without any further delay, I'll open up the floor. Adele, you want to introduce yourself and share your experience?
Absolutely. Well, hello everyone. Thank you, Amish, for having me today, and thank you for making the time. So, my name is Adel Danandeh. I've been in tech for a little over a decade, and it's been truly amazing to see the transitions of where things used to be where I started it, and then where things are out now, and then where things are going, which no one really knows just yet. But it's a truly amazing journey. So yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I'm currently overseeing IT globally at a company called DataStax.
Mhm.
So DataStax is a distributed company. So we have workforce around the globe. And so I primarily oversee the IT team, the IT experience at DataStax. So that really, day to day, really, it's more like empowering our users to get access to what they need, and then hit the ground running, and then be successful, right? So in terms of where I started off in my early on in my career as IT, where things are at now, they're very, very different. It was this traditional mindset of this corner IT team where they look at some they probably hand off some hardware, some cables, laptops, right, where it's transitioned to a place where it's a hub to basically collaborate with IT to unlock the business, right, in different verticals. So it's a lot more purpose driven. It's a lot more involved in the direction of technology in companies,
Mhm.
and and a lot more, I'll say, connected to the bigger picture. Whereas they have this silo of a small thing and doing just very a specific, a small list of things. So.
Yeah, that is amazing. So, on a day-to-day basis, like, what are some of the things that motivate you? Like, what is the thing that you like to do at work?
Of course. I think the curiosity is the biggest thing that I could think of. And this is something has been with me since I was a little kid. Everyone played with toys. I was the one fixing the toys, right? And I owe that to my brother, my younger brother, right? So basically, being curious in general about new technologies and what's out there is something that it's my day to day, really, personally. I love learning new things. I love getting my hands on new technologies, and just to see what it's like. Then the
Mhm.
next step is like bringing it to the business, right? How to solve purpose driven problems, not just be that like a tech person who's just primarily excited about technologies that are very disconnected with the reality, but like how do you actually now bringing it to the reality and then solve actual problems,
Mhm.
right, to add value.
Yeah, that is amazing. And so that it's especially in tech, that's a never-ending thing, right? There is always something
Absolutely.
new that keeps coming up. So how do you manage to like not get distracted by saying, "Hey, let's just play with this new little thing and see what it can do," versus staying on track and like keeping up with the schedule and the deliverables? Like, how do you manage to like
That's a great question.
learning something new, incorporating it at the workplace, and still not driving the actual work completely off?
No, that's a great question. So I feel like the technology so as we grow up, our toys stay the same. They just change, right? Based on where we are in our journey. So
Yeah.
my toys are new technologies now, right? So it gets quite challenging sometimes, to be honest, because there is a lot. There are a lot of great ideas. There are great innovations, amazing products out there, right? SaaS-based environment is growing super fast,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find yourselves you have limited time too, right? You cannot
Yeah.
just learn everything. Then you have to be kind of have this mindset of where you going, right? What are the tools that you want to pick up along the way, and then what's the end goal, right? So that kind of helps me stay on track. And at the same time is then having this look ahead as trying to first so I'll differentiate these two. Like personal life, I have more freedom, right? I could, play around with more tools.
Yeah.
But professional life, I cannot be just, playing around with tools and do nothing.
Yeah.
So the professional approach is a little different. So you have to look at the problem first. I spend a lot of time understanding the problem,
Mm-hmm.
where rather than jumping just into solutions, it'd be like quickly, let's just quickly solve problems, right?
Yeah.
But once I understand the problem, then you start widening your scope a little bit. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this problem you're trying to solve. How does it connect maybe to few other problems that are out
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
Then that helps you to be a lot more strategic when it comes to finding solutions with the right ecosystem. So that basically it's been my mentality and
Yeah.
approach, right? And try to keep myself in check and
Yeah.
on track.
Yeah. What are some of the newer things that you just came across that were interesting? Like any new tools or softwares that were like, oh, something that was like super exciting?
Of course. So one thing is very challenging in my line of work, and most likely probably for anyone that's more like on the senior side of their journey, is undoing your old habits. So we all, after doing certain things the same way for a long time, it's the convenience, right? We always keep on doing the things that we've been doing and more familiar with, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays the challenge is I'll challenge myself. The tools and capabilities and possibilities out there are endless, right? It's
Yeah.
nothing like how it was when I started off.
Mm-hmm.
So then I have to be more open-minded, right? Just to understand
Yeah.
where things are at, and then not simply always default to my old habits of
Mm-hmm.
thinking and then strategizing when it comes to solving problems, right? So it's like now, based on where things are at today and where it's going, how I
Mm-hmm.
should be tackling problems, because I believe that we could be a lot more efficient than before.
Yeah.
Like one of the things, for instance, just to be more specific, back in the days, we had this traditional mindset of, ticketing system, like ITSM solution for
Mm-hmm.
IT, right? So you go to this website, submit a ticket,
Mm-hmm.
fill out some of the details, and then someone will reach out to you, reply to your ticket or update it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
nowadays is a little bit of a different mentality. Now we have AI. This generative AI gets thrown around a lot
Yeah.
nowadays, right? But how do we truly, leverage such
Mm-hmm.
capacity, such capability that
Yeah.
it's at our fingerprints, right? In order to serve our customers better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now, we have AI platforms which most of the time we don't really have a lot of interactions with our customer base. They
Mm-hmm.
ask questions, and we have AI bots and chat bots. It looks through all the knowledge bases we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts actually talking to them, solving problems, sharing resources with them. And most of the time, actually, they don't end up submitting tickets because their problem was solved within minutes, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, that we've been doing differently,
Mm-hmm.
that it enables us to do that. And then there are other things like in the cyber security world is back in the days we used to create passwords for every single application that was out there, right? And
Yeah.
naturally, as human beings, we probably have 4 or 5 sophisticated passwords, right? Most sophisticated one will be used for your banking system, right? And then we just repeat the same passwords and reuse them again.
Yeah.
So, but now with some, tools that are out there, like password manager tools, having passwords is just irrelevant, right? You could come up with much more secure passwords. I mean, my passwords are over 24 characters long. I don't need to remember them, right? So it's much more secure, and it's always unique, and then it just reduces, any potential for any bad actors.
Yeah, absolutely. So and within the day-to-day work, like what are some of the tools and resources you see for that are helping you staying organized and like not get overwhelmed with the number of requests that might be coming in? How do you manage? What are you using to manage everything?
Right. I mean, one thing is having an organized way of tracking of everything you got. So we do have there's tool called Atlassian out there. So there are Jira tickets. You could use different ideas when it comes to project management. I mean, it could be we use sprints. It runs for 2 weeks period, where we prioritize. We have a lot of problems to solve. That's fantastic, right? But we cannot tackle them all at the same time. So we have to prioritize them, right? So that it's just peace of mind, so we're not overwhelmed or stressed out, because the goal is to really have fun, learn, have fun, and solve problems, right? So then we prioritize all these problems and become tickets or issues, and then we start tackling them in a 2 weeks period in our sprints, right? So that's one way it helps me to organize. Another thing that I heavily use ChatGPT, right? But one thing that I've learned, obviously, I didn't know how to use it when it came out initially either. So I've noticed that many folks start quickly just directly asking questions, but I start by giving a context first, right? This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm at. This is what the problem is, and then ask the question. I generally found a lot more luck that way, because when you give it a little bit more context, right? So that's that. What else? There are.
How do you like educate your actual users to do more of that? Like how like do you see most of the users using AI now, and are they able to like ask questions to AI to resolve some of their own queries?
That's a great question. No, not everyone does that.
Okay.
The reason is because we have folks that are non-engineers. They're great at what they do. Their job is absolutely critical, but they're just not engineers, right? It's like having that blackest screen of terminal back in the days. No one wanted to look at. It was very intimidating, right? It's like, what is that? So same idea, right? But we've rolled out actually a tool that is like an enterprise search. That's something is more like it's a tool, very practical, very easy to use, simple to use, and it's not only targeted for the technical crowd, right? So, for instance, to give you one, I mean, you've probably seen how Google does this now. When you search for stuff on Google, there's this AI, Google AI that comes with the summary of things, right? Everybody is using AI, right? But when you frame it like, okay, ChatGPT, you have to go here, on this link and then log into ChatGPT, then it sounds a lot more technical. So what we've done is we've rolled out an enterprise search tool where it connects to all of our database. So imagine going to Google, search for stuff, but imagine the data backing the Google search is your company data. That's what we rolled out, right? So it's like we have this Google search bar. It's all fully AI, right? But people don't need to do it. You don't have to write code. You don't have to be technical. You just basically just use it naturally.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what are some of the other cool things that you've seen over the 10 years? Like, what are some of the changes that you have observed? Like, has the industry been very different? Do they work very differently now versus with like 10 years ago?
Yes, almost any SaaS company that's out there now, they have some AI presence in
Yeah.
some capacity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, the mindset when it comes to problem solving is very different now.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the days, you probably even resource planning, right? So my resource planning strategy is very different now. Back in the days, we probably just traditional mindset, right? Okay, we have this is the environment, this is our user base. How many folks do we need
Yeah.
to support this, right?
Yeah.
That this is very different now. What can we automate first?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because automation runs 24/7 around the clock. There's
Mm-hmm.
no resource that could compete with that.
Yeah.
If they could, then it's going to be very expensive, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a lot of like business decision, right? With the ROI. Okay, this is the time we spend. This is what we get out of it,
Yeah.
right? So most of the strategies now is like we should be leveraging what's out there to help us
Mm-hmm.
to improve our day-to-day
Yeah.
output and just efficiency in general, right? So that's been something that I've seen throughout the recent years.
Mm-hmm.
And which I believe it's been really really helpful, and it's to making pivots as to how you being in a leader and in the vertical in the business, like how you think of solving problems in a much bigger scale, right, with a lot less
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So even prior to joining DataStax, like how did you get introduced to tech? Like what got you interested in it? I know you did mention about you were always the one that would tinker and like try to fix the solution, right? But from a career perspective, from a job perspective, how did you get to where you are?
oh so my journey I in IT started when I actually started working in my dad's company as an intern.
Mm-hmm.
Not people did not know the relationship between me and my dad. So they gave me all the busy work and all the most difficult jobs that are out there
Yeah.
until they found out eventually which life changed a lot.
Yeah.
Then but I started solving problems when I believe I was in middle school or
Mm-hmm.
freshman high school. I was working, trying to grow my beard, so they don't recognize I'm too young for that.
Yeah.
So they will actually ask me real life problems, right? Ask
Mm-hmm.
me questions, and I solve problems. And at the end of the day, it always felt amazing to see people, coming to you with their problem. They're frustrated, right? And then you could quickly come up with like a way of tackling these problems. And I believe that was something that very early on,
Mm-hmm.
developed in me, that I'm okay. I believe that that kid that you used to like fix his stuff, tinker with like new toys and all of that, found a way, to transition that into the IT world, which is very very much similar to the world when
Yeah.
I was a little kid.
Yeah, makes sense. And so currently, like, are you working with a team? Like, what does your day actual day look like? What do you like? Is it like more of people management or?
It's a little bit of both. So my passion is working in early phase or mid-size startups.
Mm-hmm.
So in the startups, there is not a whole lot of like hierarchies really in
Yeah.
place, right? We roll up our sleeves, we do
Yeah.
what's needed. So I coach a team. I coach the IT team,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we have different skill sets in the team. More like customer facing, more like a backend, system admin from an engineering perspective. While I do that, I always maintain that hands-on side of me as well, because I personally enjoy,
Yeah.
learning new tools and this is not the time really. I don't think you want to be completely on the back seat and just be on
Yeah.
the people management, at least for me.
Yeah.
For me in my career at this stage,
Yeah.
I believe this is just the beginning of this new
Mhm.
era, and I would like to be part of it. Right,
Mhm.
would like to grow along with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that day to day, probably 25%, 30% hands-on.
Mhm.
Depends. Sometimes it gets more based on the projects or priorities we have, and
Yeah.
rest of it is more like a coaching.
That's amazing. So, over the next 4 to 5 years, like, where do you see yourself? Like, what would you like to do?
I would like to take on much more bigger problems,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I believe based on the things that we've seen, and this is just the beginning of it,
Yeah.
right? There is a lot more to unpack. I
Mm-hmm.
believe many folks, even non-technical people, will be empowered to solve problems at scale. So
Yeah.
that's the power of it. That's the magnitude of it.
Mm-hmm.
Before, it used to be only you had to be technical, you had to be a software engineer, you had to write code. But
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, when I go to tech conferences, I
Mm-hmm.
do see a lot of non-technical people solving technical problems, which
Yeah.
is fantastic,
Yeah.
right? So it's a lot more, I guess, usable now. It's
Mm-hmm.
the reach is far greater than before.
Yeah.
So I would like to definitely be part of that and then take on bigger challenges.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, apart from work, like, what do you like to do? Like, do you like to travel or?
So one thing that I like to do is networking with other like-minded people
Mhm.
because I learn a lot that way. Another thing that I love doing is having an active lifestyle in general, because that just really it just helps me, to free my mind, time to time, whether that is getting on my bike and just
Mhm.
roaming around in the Bay Area and then find like new trails and stuff. It's just
Yeah,
beautiful around here,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or whether that is just going out for a run or working out at a gym.
Nice, nice. So, what are some of your like favorite places to go? Like, do you prefer like more of the beach side, the ocean side, or more of the mountains?
It really depends on the mood.
Okay,
I love both.
okay,
So uh, city, yeah, sometimes I go to the city. Not
yeah,
often recently. But I love that because it's very vibrant, it's full of
yeah,
energy, right? And then sometimes you just want to just a relaxing environment, right? Which
yeah,
just going to the beach or just going out for a nice hike and beautiful scenery, which nature is beautiful around here. So
oh
I mean,
yeah.
it really depends on the mood, but I like both.
Nice, nice. Cool. Sounds great. So, like, do you over the next, I would say, 3 to 4 years, what would you like? You did mention that you would like to solve bigger problems. What would be like something that's like challenging, motivating that you'll be like, oh, I wish I could. What would you quantify as success? If you look backwards, saying 4 years from now, if you look backwards, saying, hey, like, oh, I achieved something. What would that be?
Right. So the value you bring to the table is by the magnitude of the problem you solve in organizations. Right. The bigger the magnitude that is, and it's more connected to the ROI for the business,
Mm-hmm.
that's the higher the value it is.
Yeah.
Right. So that being said, to right now is the time really to be open-minded, and I do remind myself very often that hey, you need to be open-minded with all these tools that are coming out. You have to change the strategy and the way you tackle problems, right? So this is the time really to stay connected to the movement, and
Yeah.
then so that 4 to 5 years from now you not start looking at it, that would be too late to start like changing strategy
Mm-hmm.
for solving problems or tackling problems, because I believe there is so much that's happening in such short span of time, so much,
Yeah.
right? But it goes back to what we discussed earlier, right? Then how do you keep track of all of these? You don't get sidetracked, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to always remember like what the goal is, where you're going, and then along the way, what are some of the things that will help you to get there, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise it gets you could derail very quickly because there's
Yeah.
so many cool toys out there, I call them. you know that's so much
Yeah.
to learn.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, uh, so, what are some of the most challenging thing that you solved and that you're like that made you like really happy, saying in the last like decade or so, like something that really kind of gave you like a sense of satisfaction, a sense of achievement.
Right. So there are a few things that I've done in my career. Like early on, I actually play around with a lot of like IoTs.
Hmm.
I've made prototypes for smart buildings. Like you
Hmm.
could switch on and off the building lights through your command prompt on your computer, for instance, or
Nice.
or the HVAC system and all of that.
Yeah.
Like building motion sensors, right? Not knowing that the bigger players out there like Google and Amazon, they coming up with Google Home and
Yeah.
Alexa, right?
Yeah.
And then not to mention mine was very
Yeah.
basic, right? That was nonetheless is it was very humbling, and then it was very interesting to experience that. And I learned a lot about electrical engineering along the way because I'm a software engineer background.
Yeah.
Uh, and they get to appreciate the technology that's out there, right? And then that was very satisfying for me. And one of the biggest challenges that in terms of business side of things that we solved, of course I never take credit for any of this. It's a whole team of talented individuals that we come together, and then we just set the goal and then we'll go after it, right? It's a
Yeah.
sports team,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So but one thing that was very helpful, was automating the onboarding and offboarding process in our company, where we used to meet up regularly every week.
Hmm.
A lot of Excel sheets to track,
Yeah.
manually create accounts. Sometimes we names were misspelled, right? And then created wrong email addresses and whatnot. So there was
Yeah.
a lot of these manual processes, right? And
Yeah.
these things are not they're not appealing, they're not the most interesting problems for people to solve, right? Because it gets repetitive. So then if it bothers you enough,
Hmm.
when you do it over and over and over again, then you
Hmm.
start asking yourselves, is there any better way of doing this, or we
Yeah.
should just continue to do this manually, right?
Yeah.
So automating that onboarding offboarding process, we went from having 6 or 7 of us regularly meeting every week, and
Yeah.
then two of the engineers in the team creating accounts manually.
Yeah.
We went from that to do nothing, absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
now when accounts are created, automatically have access to the applications they need.
Hmm.
Offboarding is the same case as well. So
Yeah.
and then there is a lot less room for mistake, right?
Hmm.
We all humans, we make errors, right? Some of us we have a bad day or tired, right?
Yeah.
But automation works as long as the you have the integrations running properly, right? But it always consistent. So now we went from being actors of all these moving parts to more like supervising these
Hmm.
processes, right? That
Yeah.
was it was a huge I'll say achievement for the team, and then it unblocked a lot of resources. So now we could go, use that time
Hmm.
to do something more meaningful, for the business,
Hmm.
which was very helpful.
Yeah, that is amazing. So yeah, what was like? I think that was more on the things that was kind of made you successful and something that you like to do. Was Is there something that would kind of tell me something that may be negative about being in the operations? Like, if like what is it that would like be something that would be like frustrating, saying, hey, I wish this wasn't around, this, I wish something like this wouldn't be happening.
Right.
Tell me the negatives as well, because if somebody's coming into a career of being in operations, like they have to juggle both, right? The good and the bad.
Absolutely. Well, we have to grab a drink for that. That would be a long discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to know what you sign up for in this business. So there is no pedal on the back and applause and every day for what you do. You usually hear from people when something goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, there's this, a lot of these thinking and the strategizing to make sure that there is no noise in the system and everything
Yeah.
just works,
Yeah.
right? So one thing is, time to time, people might forget, right? We're all busy in our lives, in our line of work, right? So you might not really, first of all, not know about other people's roles and jobs and what problems they solve, right? So we might not appreciate it enough. I mean, I might fall victim for that as well. We tend to like probably oversimplify what other people do, right, in different verticals in the business.
Yeah.
So in general, yes, you need to be prepared for that. Usually, I talk to the team. Usually, is like the way relationships are built in IT. They're very they're very interesting. Usually, it starts with someone being so frustrated with having a problem, and or they come to you with a problem, right? And they're not at their best, right? When they do that, that's how you get introduced. It's like, oh, by the way, what was your name again? Right?
Yeah.
And then you start building relationships that way, right? With the way you help them, and then it's just that's how most of relationships in business start
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And and sometimes there's not enough appreciation for it. But as long as you know what value you bring to the table, I think you could
Sure.
be proud of what you do
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, makes sense. It's like if somebody wants to make a good career in IT, it's possible that although the person is thankful, we might get a feeling like they are not thankful because they were like probably frustrated with something not working. They are thankful when you resolve it, but they might be coming to you at a situation when they are a little bit frustrated with something.
Absolutely, yes.
Makes sense. So yeah, so cool. Thanks. That was a great insight. So just as we are concluding the episode, like is there something else that you would like to share with the audience?
I would say there's no such a thing as being an expert in anything nowadays when it comes to tech
Yeah.
world. It's a continuous learning journey, right? For those of you who are interested, to build a career in IT, make sure you stay humble, curious, and always open-minded, right? Because you have to keep on learning, keep on evolving, and keep on changing the strategies when it comes to solving problems. Otherwise, we all get left behind, in history.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very, very important thing, and I would like to conclude on that. So that's a very good insight. Yeah, just
Thank you.
being humble and being passionate about what you like, but still being humble about the realities of what ends up happening.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds great. Thanks, Adel. It was great having you, and thanks for sharing your valuable insights of a very important aspect of tech that most people just take for granted nowadays. But it's not magic, right? It takes effort to keep things running.
Absolutely. Well, it was great chatting with you as well, Amish. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Adel.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.